China just made a move in Guyana's oil boom, and most people in the Caribbean didn't even notice it. While headlines often focus on American oil giants and regional politics, a quieter but equally important story is unfolding beneath the surface. Guyana, once one of South America's poorest nations, has rapidly transformed into one of the fastest-growing economies in the world thanks to massive offshore oil discoveries. At the center of that transformation is a powerful consortium led by ExxonMobil. But many viewers forget that China is not on the sidelines. China is already inside the room. To understand what this means, we need to go back to 2015, when ExxonMobil announced a major oil discovery in the Stabroek Block offshore Guyana. That discovery would eventually grow into more than 11 billion barrels of recoverable oil equivalent, turning Guyana into a global energy story almost overnight. Production began in 2019, and since then, output has expanded aggressively, with multiple floating production storage and offloading vessels deployed offshore. Today, Guyana is producing hundreds of thousands of barrels per day, with projections pointing toward over 1 million barrels daily in the coming years. For a country with fewer than 1 million people, that scale of production is transformative. But here's where things get interesting. The Stabroek Block is not owned by ExxonMobil alone. The consortium includes Hess Corporation and CNOOC, the China National Offshore Oil Corporation. CNOOC holds a 25% stake in the project. That means China, through its state-owned energy company, has a direct stake in one of the most significant oil discoveries of the 21st century. This isn't speculation. This isn't a future move. China is already embedded in Guyana's oil story. So when we say China just made a move, we're not talking about warships or dramatic announcements. We're talking about strategic positioning. China understands long-term energy security better than most countries. It has spent decades investing in Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East to secure supply chains. Guyana fits perfectly into that strategy. It is politically stable, geographically close to the Atlantic trade routes, and aligned with Western markets, yet open to global investment. At the same time, Guyana joined China's Belt and Road Initiative several years ago, deepening infrastructure and trade cooperation. That means China's relationship with Guyana is not just about oil. It includes roads, bridges, potential port developments, and broader economic engagement. When you combine infrastructure diplomacy with energy investment, you start to see a bigger picture forming. China doesn't need headlines. It builds influence quietly. Now let's talk about why this matters for the Caribbean. Historically, the Caribbean energy story revolved around Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, and occasionally offshore exploration in smaller islands. But Guyana's rise has disrupted that map. It has shifted attention from traditional players to a new frontier. The United States has shown clear interest in Guyana's stability and energy expansion. American companies dominate the operational side of production. Yet with CNOOC's stake, China benefits directly from every successful barrel that leaves the Stabroek Block. This creates an interesting balance. On one hand, the United States maintains strong influence through ExxonMobil and diplomatic ties. On the other hand, China is economically invested in the same oil flows. Guyana finds itself in a unique position, courted by major global powers, yet still defining its own national path. Some analysts argue that this is not about competition, but interdependence. After all, the consortium structure means American and Chinese companies profit together. Oil markets are global. Barrels are sold internationally. Yet geopolitics rarely stays simple. Energy has always been tied to influence. Where energy flows, attention follows. And where attention follows, power dynamics shift. Consider Venezuela's long-standing claim over the Essequibo region, an area rich in natural resources and central to Guyana's offshore developments. That territorial dispute has drawn international attention, particularly as oil discoveries increase the stakes. While Guyana has strengthened diplomatic partnerships and defense cooperation, including closer ties with the United States, the broader global environment remains sensitive. In that environment, China's steady economic footprint adds another layer to the equation. If you want more deep dives into Guyana's oil boom, Caribbean geopolitics, and the global power moves shaping our region, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next analysis. The energy map is changing fast, and we're going to keep tracking every move.